Good evening and welcome to a new series of that news quiz thing that no one can remember the title of. And what a momentous year it's been. The Prime Minister deposed by an internal coup, the world plunged into war in the Gulf, and Eddie the landlord in EastEnders is stabbed in Albert Square. In the news this week, as dissent grows in Labour ranks about Neil Kinnock's ability to lead the party, Jack Straw unveils his choice for a possible replacement. Meanwhile, stung by Labour criticism, David Mellor launches a video setting out the government's new suggestions for youth training.
Would you lace my shoes? Paint your face bright blue. Catch a kangaroo. Go to Timbuktu.
Our choice of team captains, as much as it was last year, misguided. To my right, seeming not a day older than he did last year, still looks 47, Private Eye editor Ian Hislop, and with Ian, someone you may have seen earlier in the week in a TV documentary about Cindy. But tonight, for some reason, she's put this rather strange wig and sensible clothes on. Sandi Toksvig. To my left, someone else you may have seen earlier this week, dressed in a lime green body stocking and pink feather boa. That's if you were around his flat on Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the morning. Paul Merton. And Paul's guest is the editor of Punch, someone who's something of a have I got news for you virgin. And he hasn't been on the show before either, David Thomas. So let's drag ourselves screaming into the first round. 4 bits of news footage to identify. Ian and Sandi, what's going on here?
Ah, well, this is a new toothpaste ad that's just come out. Yes, as you can see, that's one of the slogans. And there it comes in a very big box. This is...
Oh, it's the chaps with the moustaches, Australian cricket team.
Yes.
Village people, in fact.
Village people, yes.
Almost entirely wrong.
That was the...
UN going out to say to Saddam, now you've got some nuclear bits, haven't you? What have you done with them? And he said, what's that hiding back there? I'm so sorry. That's pretty much how it went, wasn't it?
Oh, golly gosh. Yes, absolutely right. 2 points. It's Iraq and their continuing battle with the UN inspectors, whom they locked in a car park for several days.
No, that was the NCP that were doing that.
Sorry, I got confused. Paul and David, what was the greatest living Englishman up to over the weekend?
I think he's on the way to the finals of the Fat Git of the Year show here. It's Ua Gaza, whose unique brand of physiotherapy consists of drinking quite a remarkable amount of alcohol and doing the lambada. And then being assaulted by mysterious people who seem to leave no mark whatsoever on his jaw, whilst breaking his knee at the same time, I think you'll find.
Yes, a full answer. Absolutely right. 2 points.
It's at a nightclub called Walkers. I read that in The Guardian. They have L and N problems.
I think Ian meant it should have been called Wankers.
Bless you for clarifying that. Yes, it's...
Lest there be any confusion.
No, it's always good to be clear. Yes, it's Gaza, who supposedly was the victim of a vicious and unprovoked attack in a nightclub, which sadly prevented him from appearing in court the next day, charged with making a vicious and unprovoked attack on someone in a nightclub. Certain amount of poetic justice, I think. And to add to his woes, readers of Match magazine have voted him least intelligent footballer. Which is a bit like being voted most drunk alcoholic. Within the last few months, he's now been accused of having an affair with a married woman and had his kneecap broken twice. Sounds like he's gradually breaking himself into the Italian lifestyle. Ian and Sandi, why is this lady putting on the style?
Ah, well, that's...
Oh, it's Cruella de Vil.
Surrounded as usual by all the Dalmatians there. Well, we're very fortunate because we're such a privileged society that a grocer's daughter is going to be made a countess.
Yes.
And that means her son is going to become a count. It's a very good reason for abolishing the House of Lords.
I think I can help here as well, actually.
No. That's fine, thank you, Paul. Mark, in fact, becomes an earl, which means if he were awarded the OBE, he'd become an earlobe. Finally in this round, Paul and David, can you shed any light on this?
No, not. It's a folding. It's a folding competition. It's
being wiped up.
I was going to say it was Ken putting forward his nuclear policy, which was not the same nuclear policy as Neil Kinnock's nuclear policy, which is to decide that nukes are a very good thing after all, and we better have lots of them, please.
I think it was a marketing video for the conference facilities at Trust House Forte.
It's a bit of both, really. I think you're both right.
What happened is that...
2 points to you, anyway.
And Ken somehow managed to get himself into the conference. It was meant to be scrapping all socialists, but Ken sneaked in and put forward a motion about saying that Britain's defence should be on the same level as the European defence.
It was an impressive answer from David. But you can have a point, anyway, for information. Thank you very much, Ian.
We're going to give him a point for just wittering on a bit.
Being the school swat.
The film showed Brighton hoteliers, in fact, at the Labour conference, setting up 2 of the 13 fringe meetings on defence, which represented 13 different defence policies. Labour say they can't tell us their defence policy until they get into power, rather like their taxation policy and their electoral reform policy. But don't worry, in his speech, Neil Kinnock pledged that every man would have a job, every train would run on time, every day would be the first day of spring, and every bird would have a new song to sing, but only after full consultation with the relevant unions. Which brings us careering to the end of round 1, at which point I can tell you that Ian and Sandy now have 5, and Paul and David sadly have 4. Point in the proceedings, just when everything started to get going, we like to indulge in a little quiz show Interruptus with our caption competition. Each team is shown a photograph. Paul and David, this is yours. Ian and Sandy, yours is this. And between now and the end of the programme, in moments of heightened tedium, we'd like you to think of a caption or two. So while you're considering the options, let's steam regardless into round 2, which takes us into the vile world of tabloid headlines. 4 cryptic allusions to decipher. Paul, here's yours. Polly put the telly on.
Well, I imagine it's something as boring as a parrot that switched on somebody's telly.
It's
Doesn't
not
seem
quite as interesting as that. I'll give you 1 point. It's news that TV remote controls operate certain televisions by making a series of unpleasant, high-pitched squeaks.
Bonnie Langford does that too, I think.
I think Emlyn Hughes probably had a pretty good go as well.
Alan Bohr, those squeakers in full.
So the parrot's noise sets off the television set?
Yes.
It's squawking is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's basically. Pet parrots are now learning to imitate these noises and change channels at will. So if you lose your remote control unit, just buy a parrot. Always assuming he doesn't want to watch a different programme.
Parrots all over the country now saying, "Oh no, it's Jeremy Beadle again."
Yes, I think if the parrot's got a will of his own, you know, if you've had it if David Attenborough's on the other side in some steamy wildlife movie. Lots of parrots giving each other a beak job. David Thomas.
On the BBC, that's right.
I think I can clarify that one.
Thank you, but no. David Thomas, here's an interesting line for you. Just call me 0898.
I think this is a man who changed his name into an 0898 number in the hope that he might have a more interesting social life, because he'd get calls from breathy women wanting to take their knickers off for him.
He wouldn't get the women taking their knickers off, heuld get the SADC businessmen in the phone booth. The chap who's just come back from lunch.
Yes,
Ian Hislop. Yes, actually gets Ian ringing out
Do
from
I
the
have
over.
to sit next to him?
I might as well confess now, I've got a court appearance about this King's Cross business tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely right. It was a gentleman called Michael Howard who changed his name to Mr. 0898312312 in the hope that someone would ring him up because he felt lonely and wanted someone to go on holiday with him. The way you do. Still, if you want to give him a ring, I understand he's now changed his telephone number to Arthur Perkins. Sandy, what's this Oedipal-sounding headline about?
Well, this is obviously a plea from the Duchess of York's children to their father, I think, probably. No. What that is, it's nothing to do with parents.
It's a plea
at all,
from the
is it?
Daily Telegraph to reinstate Mrs. Thatcher.
Well, you can certainly have a point for that, but...
What that is
not
to
in
do
any way.
with,
correct.
is to do with the naughty people in this country, archaeologists stealing all the bits and bobs that the Aborigines thought were theirs, and we've given them back.
Completely wrong. The mummy in question was the 4,000-year-old body of a prehistoric rambler named Homo tyrolensis. At least that was before he changed it to 0898 47843.
Wasn't it just Michael Foot getting lost on the way to the Labour Party conference?
He was wearing a primitive cagoule, yes, it sounds a bit lovely, rudimentary sandals, a simple rucksack, and a Save the Mammoth
It
badge.
was definitely Michael Foot.
And apparently his first words were, "Is Bryan Adams still number one?" He was found in Italy by Germans who gave him to the Tyrolean Austrians, who were refusing to give him to the Viennese Austrians, all back to the Italians. And we understand the Belgians have just come in with their joker. And finally, what's this bit of Fleet Street filth? Ian.
The drunk from the Sun who had to be called Sir, that's the editor. No, I withdraw that unconditionally. No, this is actually a journalist who was sacked from the Sun for being drunk, which is absolutely incredible.
Yep, absolutely right. 2 points. The story of Rob Skellen was his name.
Rob Skellen.
Yep, a drunken reporter from the Sun. I think that's tautology, actually. A reporter from the Sun is probably sufficient. Who was sacked for abusing 2 policemen in a Dorset car park. Evidently, he called the PC's Dorset plods, attempted to pull off PC Cameron's pathetic Scottish moustache, and said he'd have them walking the streets by morning. But as they were already walking the streets that morning, he didn't regard it as much of a threat. The Daily Mirror had a field day reporting the case with great moral indignation, but we're unaware that Mr. Skellen had just taken a new job with the Sunday Mirror. Which brings us to the end of round 2, a welcome end, and I can tell you that Ian and Sandy now have a stonking 8, and Paul and David a rather frail 7. And so we enter the chaos that is round 3, in which we show each team a hastily slung together compilation of disparate film clips that together encapsulate a major story of the week. Ian and Sandy, what's this all about?
Well, this is obviously a very glossy film showing how fabulous things are after 13 years of Conservative rule. And there, they all taking their hats off.
Cheering off Neil Kinnock.
And this is obviously...
The Rugby World Cup, I think.
Yes. And that's some of the rugby players who didn't get to play.
And that's Pavarotti.
Absolutely wrong. It's the astonishing and rather dubious revelation that Butch Cassidy, which is where the music came in, real name Robert Parker, spoke with a Lancastrian accent.
Oldham was the town, I believe.
Or indeed Preston.
How could I have missed a story like that? I can't believe there I'm reading about Serbo-Croatia, all these things that are happening, and this is the important
No, this
stuff.
is much more important. His father, Butch Cassidy's father, moved from Preston to Utah in 1855.
1855, was it really?
Yeah. That's almost 7 o'clock, in fact. And apparently the family stuck to their traditional Lancastrian ways for many generations, wearing cloth caps, eating black puddings, holding up banks and shooting people. Experts maintain that he was supposed to have a voice not dissimilar to George Formby. So it's not surprising that people gave him their money without putting up much of a fight. Your money or I sing. Paul and David.
Butch Cassidy and the A Up Our Kid.
Go on, give him the point.
Sounds like not very Butch Cassidy to me.
A rather exotic collage for you, Paul and David.
It's a plane.
Is Pamela Bordez off on her international travels, perhaps, Ken? Yes, it is Pamela. It's Roy Hatters's plans for immigration. He wants lots more of them. Ah, no, it's euthanasia on the National Health Service. cut costs.
No, it's Indian waiters.
It is indeed Indian waiters.
Indian waiters. Typhoid.
Typhoid tikka masala being offered in all the best Indian restaurants nowadays, owing to the fact that 3 infected waiters went on the lam from a hospital and went to work in a restaurant, I believe.
They went on the lamb?
Absolutely. A bit of a pun there.
I'll have 3 waiters on the lamb, please.
Yes, I think on the... Yes,
on the run.
On the run.
As indeed many of their customers do on a fairly regular basis.
I think it's one of the symptoms of typhoid.
It is. Oh, indeed, Indian restaurants, yes.
Yes, no, absolutely right. Yes, it is the 4 Bangladeshi waiters who arrived at Heathrow on false passports and were found to have typhoid. A few days later, they escaped from a North London hospital by hatching the cunning plan of going to the front desk and discharging themselves. And so we move on to our trip down memory lane as we wallow in the golden nostalgia of times past. And having lifted the mood, I shall now shatter it by showing you this, Ian and Sandy, a sporting What Happened Next for you.
Dr. Owen provided another type of leadership today. He played as an old-fashioned centre-forward. Striker is the term the commentators use now.
Oh, everybody. Oh,
So,
what a lot of wobbly bits. Oh. Dear. Well, what happened next is that everybody vomited. He was left playing on his own, wasn't he? Isn't that what he does? Doesn't he play on his own, that boy? Oh. Dear, it's a wonder they could find a shirt to contain it.
well,
I quite fancy him, actually.
Help you with that, Paul.
That's you and Rosie Barnes.
as David Coleman would say, let's see if you're right.
The victory wasn't achieved without some pain.
It got worse.
David Owen there playing football for the SDP in 1984. You can tell it was 1984 because there were 11 people in it. David and Paul, more archive for you.
There are truckloads of broccoli at this very minute descending on Washington.
Ah, yes. This is to do with George Bush and vegetables, which he likes quite a lot, which is why he has one as his vice president.
Yes, indeed.
But he doesn't like broccoli. He doesn't like broccoli, and he said that that now he was president, he jolly well wasn't going to eat any more broccoli. So there, nor peas neither.
Yes, these truckloads of broccoli were an unwanted present sent by thousands of farmers enraged by their president's inflammatory remarks about their prized vegetable.
I do not like broccoli, and I haven't liked it since I was a little kid, and my mother made me eat it. And I'm president of the United States, and I'm not going to eat any more broccoli.
That's obviously fueled his ambitions right from the early days. One day I shall be one of the most powerful men in the world, and I shall not eat broccoli.
So, at the end of that rollicking round, I can tell you that it's literally neck and neck. Paul and David and Ian and Sandy both have 11. And so we surge manfully into our odd one out round, 4 ugly mugshots each. 3 of them have something in common. Paul, a nasty little quartet for you. Brian Clough, Judge Pickles, Gary Bushell, and Adolf.
Completely indistinguishable, really.
I think simply, every one of them but Adolf Hitler has written a column for The Sun.
It's true. Absolutely. 2 points.
Adolf Hitler wasn't right-wing enough.
Yes, Gary Bushell, incidentally, was initially a skinhead, then worked for The Sun, and now writes for The Star. So how much lower can you go? I don't think you can actually get a job biting the heads off puppies, can you? David, get your laughing gear around these. Fidel Castro, Ronald Reagan, John Gummer, and Lassie.
That's a cinch. Lassie's the only one with whom we could have an intelligent conversation. I think I haven't. Is Fidel Castro the only one who has not appeared in movies? I just have a feeling that was John Selwyn a child star or something.
I know. I think Castro did make a movie. I think he appeared as an extra in some movie.
In which case, John Selwyn is the only one who hasn't appeared in movies.
Yep, you're absolutely right. On the nail. It's John Gummer, née Selwyn, who's the only one not to have had a Hollywood screen career. We're curious no one snapped him up, given his natural charisma and animal magnetism. Yes, Fidel Castro did in fact have a career as a professional extra in musicals, while both Lassie and Ronald Reagan had similar success, although one of them only had to run around a bit and come when his name was called, which he very nearly perfected before he became president of the United States. Sandy, obvious criminal connections here. Al Capone, Ronnie Biggs, John Major, and Coco the Clown.
Well, they're all men with rather sad hair, aren't they?
You sure that isn't Neil Kinnock?
It's a circus.
Think the odd one out is probably
know
Mr.
this.
Biggs, I think.
For why?
Because
He doesn't
he's
come
not
from
here.
a circus
He doesn't come from a
backhand.
circus background, yeah.
here.
Because Mr. Major's dad was an acrobat, and old Al Capone
Circus
Al
family.
Capone's
used to
brother.
get shot out of a cannon.
Well, I'll give you 2
Al
points.
Capone's brother.
Yeah, I'll give you 1 point, because it's actually Al Capone's brother that was an acrobat. Coco the Clown was a clown, yes. And
Thank you for elaborating on that, because I wasn't clear about his
I just
career.
thought I ought to make it absolutely clear. John Major's father used to stand astride 2 galloping horses wearing star-spangled swimming trunks. It was an unusual act, making horses wear star-spangled swimming trunks, but there you are. Finally in this round, Ian, try these 4 for size. Rory Bremner,
Oh, yes.
Geoffrey Archer,
Oh, God.
the Bishop of Oxford, and Dracula. Or Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee.
Think of him as.
Well, there's only one range of questions with Mr. Archer. They always concern his past. So I would guess Christopher Lee is a famous old boy of Wellington, the public school.
Very good.
So is the Bishop of Oxford. I would have to guess Rory Bremner went there,
he
and
did.
Geoffrey Archer didn't.
But
He went to another school called
What?
Wellington School,
he did, absolutely right, yes.
as you would have found
Archer-
out if you'd watched Clive Anderson's show. And they cut it all out.
Well,
Yes.
how would we have found out if we'd watched it then? The man's obviously a fool and not a worthy opponent for us.
Geoffrey Archer is the odd one out, as all the others went to the famous Wellington College. Archer says he went to Wellington. In fact, he went to somewhere called Wellington School. Just a kind of trustworthy person you want in charge of sending aid to the Kurds. Bet they're all sleeping easy in their beds now. Or at least they would be if he provided them with any. Which brings us hurtling to the end of this round, at which point, God, it's still neck and neck. Paul and David have 15, Ian and Sandy have 15. And so we leap hysterically into the final deciding round, in which we show each team a set of headlines with 1 or 2 words missing. They have to identify the words or provide a better alternative. As is traditional, we like to humiliate the team that are last, but as neither of them are last, I'm going to pick Ian and Sandy to go first. Duchess of York runs out of what on the M40?
O-levels. Didn't take long. No,
It's petrol.
It's
petrol, of
is
course
correct.
it is.
Lard.
Hospitals told to cut costs by using what?
No doctors.
Well, almost.
Back copies of Private Eye as a general anaesthetic.
Don't you listen
Anyone
to
watch
them?
Paul Merton's programme? No, I didn't either.
Temporary staff is the right
That was the
answer.
answer I was going to say.
Kinnock searches for his what?
His
Certainly
Welsh
not.
roots.
Welsh roots is correct. Very good.
Yeah.
You know there's something wrong with his hair.
What?
We just answered that question and their side got a point.
Yeah. We had our points back.
It'll all come out in the wash, don't worry.
It's a block vote, Paul. I'll explain the
It's
system.
like a general election in the Philippines.
Gummer holds up what?
Petrol station.
Pollution watchdog is the right answer. Alex Higgins drank my what?
It's no fair, because you just jump in because you know the answer.
That is what I'm underpaid to do, I'm afraid.
Alex Higgins drank
drank
my
my what?
country dry, says Boris Yeltsin.
You can have a point for that, but no. Perfume is the
Drank
answer.
my bathroom cabinet dry, says Ollie Reed. Was actually what I was-
Ramblers find what in Major's Garden?
Ramblers find Lord Lucan.
is wrong. Paul, David, any ideas?
Yes.
Yes, we do, actually.
Yes, we do.
Very good. Well, you can have no points then. Common cause is the answer. Didn't jump in quite quick enough. So, David and Paul, here are your missing words. I just think of the Queen as my what?
Meal ticket? No. Aunt. That was Lord Linley who thinks the Queen of his aunt.
Absolutely right.
Stamp. I
Kids
think the Queen
use
is my
what
stamp.
as condoms?
They use these kind of little vases we have here on the desk. They're really incredibly effective, and they're very strange. And they use chocolate papers.
Wrong,
as
chocolate
condoms.
papers is right. You've been reading your
Oh,
paper. Next, Saddam backs off as Bush gets
Broccoli.
Herpes.
Now you're guessing that.
Herpes. Tough.
Tough is correct. Very good. The girl who tangled with the what of Maxwell?
The elastic on his dicky bow tie.
Not
Power.
Money.
Empire.
No.
Empire.
Might is correct.
Might.
Di
Might of
plays
Maxwell.
what for newsman Sandi?
Kazoo.
Strip poker.
Go between. Councillor.
No, Cupid is the right
Cupid's
answer.
good.
And lastly, who picked by Gorbachev as advisors?
Travel agents. Sainsbury's.
Liberals is the right answer. And after that pulsating climax, the
You
upshot
won,
of it all
obviously, Angus.
is
That one.
that this week's sad acts are in fact Ian and Sandy, and this week's smug bastards
Cheating
are
Bucky, no.
Paul and David. So,
Goes to show that honest endeavour.
so congratulations to our winners and patronising condolences to our losers. But that's not quite it. Several years ago, at the start of the programme, you may remember, we asked the panellists to come up with some madcap captions to their photographs. Paul and David, what did you think of for this one?
Well, we fixed up his legs, Mr. Venables, but the rest of him's a complete write-off.
Or Duchess of York's tights, open charity bazaar.
All very good. Ian and Sandy, what about yours?
I found this under the sofa at number 10 when I moved in.
Or major bottles at general election.
Topical.
Oh, yes, a pun to end the show.
And coming from the right as well.
Always the way. On which contentious note, we say thank you to our guests, Ian Hislop and Sandi Toksvig, Paul Merton and David Thomas. And I leave you with news that Freddie the Tame Dolphin, who was injured by the propellers of a police motor launch on Wednesday, is making a full recovery. Northumbria police explained away the incident by claiming that he accidentally swam down a flight of stairs. Rumours circulate that the runaway Bangladeshi waiters have been sighted near the London Coliseum. And finally, with the aid of telescopic photography, scientists believe the secret of Mikhail Gorbachev is out. Good night.